Well, let's now make a sense of all those numbers. We're joined by James Zhan. He is a Senior Director of the UNCTAD Division on Investment and Enterprise, and he is joining us now via Skype. Great to have you on the show with us, sir. Now, what was certainly interesting to see is that FDI flows to Africa declined 18% and just 11% to sub-Saharan Africa. Was this drop in investment flows expected, especially when you compare it to the drop in FDI in developing nations? What do you attribute this drop to?
Yeah, indeed, as you said, that FDI flows to Africa declined by 18% to an estimate 38 billion from 46 billion in 2019. And this is due to the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, but also coupled with the low commodities prices. And in fact, out of the 39 African countries, 28 recorded negative growth, and it's only 11 countries positive growth. So Africa, as you compare with advanced countries, that weathered the storm better, but many countries still suffer from the decline of last year.
Well, Mr. Zhan, also interesting to note is that the COVID-19 pandemic affected all types of investment, but greenfield project announcements in particular, that fell by 63%. Now, what does this reveal about the future trends going forward?
Yeah, this is a key indicator for the future investment flows. As you mentioned, that it declined by 63%. It is really sharp. So the data of greenfield investment on announcement basis normally serves as an indicator of future prospects. So sharply lower greenfield project announcement point at a continued downward pressure and suggest a further FDI decline. And for developing countries, particularly for Africa, the prospects for 2021 is our major concern. Although FDI flows in Africa appears relatively resilient in 2020, but greenfield projects announcement were more than halved, and this is to an estimated $28 billion from $77 billion in 2019. And international project finance also fell by 40% in Africa. Another indicator for the investment this year and the next. So these investment types are crucial for productive capacity and for infrastructure development. And it's also very important for sustainable recovery prospects in Africa.
Now, you also expect FDI flows to remain weak going into this year. Now, given the fact that we are seeing a lot of optimism around growth numbers following especially those vaccines coming out, why do you still hold this position?
Yes, there are some signs of positive indicators, but there are still plenty of risks for international investment. Risks relate to the latest wave of the pandemic, the pace of the rollout of the vaccination programs, particularly in developing countries, and economic support package is lacking in developing countries, in Africa in particular, and it's a fragile macroeconomic situations in some major outward investment countries, and there's also uncertainty about global policy environment for investment and the geopolitical tensions. All this will continue to affect FDI in 2021. And investors are likely to remain cautious in committing capital to new overseas productive assets. A turnaround in industrial sectors is not yet in sight. So there could be signs of recovery, but it's led mainly by cross-border merger acquisitions. So this different type of investment, and mainly happened in advanced countries. Another reason is that international investment projects tend to have a kind of a long gestation period and react to crises with a delay. So it's both on the kind of downward slope and in the recovery. So overall, the global FDI is likely to follow kind of a U-shaped recovery. And this is unlike the global trade and the GDP, which have been predicted to be a V-shaped recovery starting already this year. And it should be noted that the recovery means bottom out of the decline and the reassumption to growth. But it will take some time for the global FDI to reach its previous peak level, that is $2 trillion in 2015. So the road to global FDI full recovery remains bumpy, as witnessed in the wake of 2008-2009 global financial crisis.
Right. Well, we do have to leave it there, but many thanks, Mr. Zhan, for making sense of all those numbers. That, of course, is James Zhan. He's a Senior Director of the UNCTAD Division on Investment and Enterprise.